All right, my friends, time for another fantastic Revit tip video. Okay, so this is a video that talks to early design, pre-design. Before you know what you're doing with the plan, while you're still brainstorming it out, while you're still coming up with conceptual adjacencies of different spaces, and just trying to figure it out and coming up with some graphics that you would actually show to a client once you started getting it rolling along. You can even show this to your team for design purposes if you're brainstorming. I just want to show you how to brainstorm and do those early conceptual designs right in Revit, okay? A way to do it. This is my personal humble opinion. There's probably better ways. I'm serious. And there's probably different ways. There are always different ways to do things, but I'm going to show you how I do it. All right. So let me share my screen with you. All right, here we go. Let's just see what we can do here. Okay. I'm going to give you a quick example of what we're going to build and do today. All right. This is an example of the plan that I'm talking about today. Something like this. We've got some offices in green. We've got toilet rooms, lobby, conference room, blah, blah, blah. Okay, stair over here, elevators, and mechanical, electrical corridor. I think I've said everything. But this is just a plan. So you could show this block diagram plan to someone if you want, or you could show them something like this. Are you kidding me? The solid objects showing the actual spaces, and you can put text on them, tags on them. So it calls out what they are. And so if you were to change one to a different type of room, like if I wanted this one to be a toilet, it'll change the title, will change the color, everything will update. What? How do you do that, Mike? Okay. I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so here we go. Let's go to a blank screen. We're talking brainstorming 101 in Revit, how to deal with it. Hope this video is not too long, but I really want you guys to get your brains wrapped around the fact that you can do some brainstorming inside Revit. You don't have to go out and always do it on a piece of paper and then draw exactly what you drew back in Revit. You can do it right here in Revit. Okay, so here we go. Some of the basic building blocks. First of all, how not to do it. Okay, don't just go get an annotate button and detail line and then start. Let me just switch it to something like a wide line. Don't just go, okay, well, I'm thinking maybe the building's gonna be like right here, like this. I'm serious, don't do this. And I'm thinking maybe I'm gonna have a corridor in here like this. And maybe I'm gonna have another corridor that goes up and over, or maybe that's a room. And maybe, you see what I'm doing here? It seems like the right thing, seems right, okay? And what seems right at the beginning, wow, look, and I can put some text, TX on the keyboard, and I'm going to put in, okay, office. Well, let's just use caps because people like caps. Office. Okay. And this will be another office. Okay. What's wrong with doing it this way, Mike? Because look how fast I have a quick diagram and some labels. Well, it's because if you go to 3D, you don't have anything, because annotation objects don't pop into 3D. So you don't have this dynamic graphic that you can show people. Could you show them this? Yeah. And yet you can't colorize these spaces very well at all because it's just lines. All right, so let's take one step better would be, let's just can all that. Is it gone? One step better would be if you come up here to the architecture tab and you click on room separator lines, room separation lines. That's a better idea. So if I start drawing room separator lines, it says, hey, you can't see these. And you're like, okay, you're right. Oftentimes they're turned off. So I'm going to go to my face over here. I'm going to go down to my turn on VG, okay, visibility graphics. Come down to lines and expand it, and come down here. And sure enough, room separation lines are off. Okay, I'm turning them on. Okay, now that they're on, I can draw with them. So here we go. So there I've drawn one. And so let's draw some more. Maybe my building, I'm going to do the same thing. My building kind of looks like this, la, 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 whatever. And maybe I've got a stair over here, and maybe there's a corridor near it that comes off this direction. Now, I'm just showing this. I'm going to draw really quickly. This might look like a great idea to you. Hey, why don't we do something like this, Mike? Why don't we just draw the whole thing in room separator lines? And I'll tell you why you shouldn't do it. Okay, room separator lines get you started. We could actually go into the settings and turn the room separator lines to a different color. Like, I don't know, make them black so that it looks like a normal diagram. The good part about this is you can actually place rooms in them to get a color diagram. You could click on room, okay? I'm gonna say this one, in fact, I'll name it as I go. Room, office. You just type the name over here, okay, office, and you say, okay, that's gonna be an office, and that's gonna be an office, and okay, now change it to stair. Okay, I wanna stair. I think that's gonna be a stair, and then there's gonna be conference room, right? Conference room. I think a conference room would look good right there. Blah, 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 right? I'm going to go mechanical. And make that mechanical. So anyway, you can keep going with this. Because we've placed rooms in here, we could go about adding you can go to annotate and put a color fill legend, okay? And color fill is not assigned. Okay, let's see. Let's assign this. I'm just going down to my view template and see what it says. Color scheme is set to none. So I'm going to set a color scheme based on the room name. Okay, give me, bam. And so now I have rooms based on their names. Okay, and I can get a color scheme for this pretty fast, and these lines could be black. So that works okay, but let's look at 3D. All I can see are my beautiful room separator lines. Well, it's not exactly what I wanted. I would like to be able to have a dynamic graphic here. And even though I have a graphic in plan, I'd really like to see a major 3D cool one like I saw a minute ago right here. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm dealing with. This is where I'm going. I'm like, this is a long cry from that. Okay, so I would scrap it. Boom, scrap. Except wait, before we scrap it, look at this. Because they are actual room separator lines and rooms, I can move these around, and the rooms, they automatically enlarge, and the color fill finds the room separator lines, and I can manipulate this quite quickly. If I needed another office next door, I could just grab the room object and copy it. I can copy it over to there. So I get the same color, but then I need to make a room tag in it, RT for room tag. Okay, so I can quickly populate this thing. This is a good way to start if you want to get your to get this diagram going. But if you want a really cool 3D diagram, I take it one step further. Let me scrap. Okay. I like to put walls in. Let me just tell you that right now. You put walls down in here and then place the rooms, And then you start having 3D objects instead of just these little bitty lines like this. So it goes a little bit further. I could type WA on the keyboard, wall. I'm going to switch it over to, this is a way to do it, not the best yet. You're like, Mike, get to the best. Okay, I'm going to go to generic walls. I'm just going to click on 12-inch thick generic walls, okay? And I'm going to land them wherever there is a wall, the wall center line wherever I click. So I could place a wall there. And I'm going to get an error because I've got a room separator line and a wall on top of each other. And I can click on these perimeter ones. Look how fast it was to get a perimeter, okay? And now I'm going to switch my wall over to maybe a 6-inch generic wall and put in some interior ones. Just slapping this together. This is a tiny little plan. It's not going to work for me very well. And I'm getting an error every single time I click. Okay, so what do we have? A mess. We have a diagram that is not actually going to work too well because these corridors are way too tiny, Mike, and they're not going to work for you. But look, it works. You can get a diagram, and this should be bigger. I know. But we've got a lot of room separator lines. You can drag your bounding box around this whole thing. And with the filter, see the filter? Click on the room separator lines only. And when they're all highlighted, hit delete. Now you're down to a clean plan that only has walls that you can convert your room separator lines to walls. And in my humble opinion, it's probably easier, friends, to just draw with walls way at the beginning, okay? The mechanical belongs over there. Wait for it. If I want that mechanical room over there, I say move, I just move it. This stair is way too small. I'm just manipulating my plan a little bit so that it's more believable for you guys, okay? I'm gonna move it up to here. This needs to touch. Okay, my offices up to here. You see how things are moving a little bit? This exterior wall up to there, and the stair more realistic comes over here. No, that's not realistic at all. See, I was just slapping lines down. You're going to have problems when you just do it that way. So what I typically like to do, scrap all that, gone, goodbye. Okay, I start with walls, friends, and I say file, not file, WA, wall. Get your exterior wall down here. Watch this. This is one way to do it. I'm going to get my 12-inch exterior walls, bam, okay? And now I'm going to say, okay, I am talking about a building that's about, let's be honest. I'm going to move my, these don't even need to be on. These are my elevation markers. Okay, let me go with wall. And I'm going to say, okay, about 20 foot. I've got about a 20-foot box right there. And that's going to be like offices. Offices are going to go in like this. And I kind of, yes, I do need a corridor. And then I'm going to need maybe some more spaces over here. Let me see. The corridor only needs to be 6 feet wide. So I click on it, say 6 feet. So you be a little more realistic while you're sketching, okay? And then say, I need a wall right about here. So if I could put a stair right there, and that could be an office there maybe. But let's go up a little bit higher and make my building look something like this. I don't know, I'm just making it up as I go, okay? And let's get my, so I'm starting to get a little more definition in here in my building. And I can say, okay, I want an elevator core right here. And so I'm building with walls because it's fast and easy, okay? And it's more realistic for size, okay, of the building. So if I go here and I say, you know what, this needs to be pulled back, this needs to be trimmed, blah, blah, blah. You build yourself your plan more realistic in size, then you could, I'm gonna toss in a door wall across there, whatever. Okay, this is my current building, blah blah blah. And if I want to add rooms back, I can, to get rooms in here and start getting my color diagrams. But I want to show you something really cool, because when I build this like this, and if I grabbed, let me just grab all of them. If I grab all those things and I tell them, okay, I want these to only go up to the second floor. Okay, I can go to 3D and I start having, move my face, I start getting a diagram. I'm like, okay, we're starting to get there. But you guys know as well as I do that room objects do not show up in 3D. You might have to buy some special plug-in that will convert the room object into a mass, and then you have to deal with masses. I've dealt with masses before too. Masses are nutso. They're transparent. It's hard to get an edge on the mass that look really nice. And controlling the color of them is you go ahead if you want to work with masses, but I'm not going there. I'm going to show you what I personally do to make a cool, quick diagram. So here we go. I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go to New. I'm going to go to Family. I'm making a new family, not a conceptual mass, but I'm going to make my own invisible, like a visible room object. So here we go, English. I'm going to go to Generic Model. I'm going to say Open. Okay, work with me here. This gets better. Okay, now we're sitting here. This is top-down view of our object, and what I want to do is get a reference plane here, horizontal, and a reference plane vertical. Okay, and now I'm going to put dimensions to this reference plane and to this one. I'm going to set them about 4 feet. Let me just, the reason being, when I toss an object into a room, 4 feet's great, and you'll see why in a minute. So I click on this one and I update this to be 4 feet, okay? And then I click on this one and update it to be 4 feet. So now is when I create my physical solid object. I'm going to hit create, an extrusion. I'm going from this corner. Okay, wait, I want a rectangle. From this corner, I'm putting in a rectangle. From that corner to that corner, okay? And it automatically grabs the corners and locks to them. So now I've got a shape, okay? And I'm gonna check that box, bam. So I've got myself a shape. And if I look in 3D, that's all it is, friends, a shape. It's 1 foot tall, and I can click on it, and I can tell that thing to be 8 feet tall. And it'll shoot up to be 8 foot tall. But even better, let me just take a shortcut here and make it, no, I'll come back and edit that later for fun. Okay, that object, when I click on it, it needs to have material associated with it. That way, back in the project, we can assign different colors to different things, like a conference room gets this color, and a corridor gets this color, and a stair gets this color. You hear what I'm saying? Offices get this color. So we need, over here, I just click the object, and over in the properties, material, don't give it this one a specific material. Let's give a property to it so we can change the material back in the project. So you click on the little tiny box at the end. So you follow over where it says by category and you hit that box. Okay. Then you move your face. And then we say we'd like a new parameter by clicking this little button. And the new parameter is called, for color, this is going to be room type color. Something simple like that. And it's by type, okay? And say, okay. So all the bathrooms are gonna be the same color, and all the corridors are gonna be the same color, and all the conference room will be the same color. That's why I made it a room type color. And I say, okay, all right. So that's just about all we need to do right here to get this started. I'm gonna save this thing, I'm gonna save it. And I'm gonna save it, and I'm gonna give it a really cool name, and it's gonna be called room object. How about that? That's a tough one. Room object. Save. Okay. And then load it into my project and close it. So, okay, in the project, project 2 is where we are. Okay, so here we go. I have got this thing loaded. So if I go back to my plan, beautiful. Now watch. I'm going to come down here to my generic objects, and you'll see it right there, room object. Cool. Okay. Work with me. Here's what you need to do first. You need to do some homework, quick homework. Expand that guy. We want to rename this first one, expand it so you can see the types. I'm going to rename it, and this is going to be office. Okay. I'm good with that. I'm going to right click on it and duplicate it. And this one I'm going to call the conference room. Looks good to me. And then I'm going to duplicate another one and call it corridor. Okay. And then I'm going to duplicate and call one stair. And you keep doing this until you get all of your different types of rooms that you want. I'm going to make another one, mechanical, duplicate, mechanical, and maybe another one, electrical, whatever. Okay. This is probably enough for an example. Okay. But we need to set the colors for these. So look at this. If I just double click on conference room, okay, it brings up the type properties, okay? And right here, by category, it wants a color, okay? And we're gonna go make 4 or 5 colors that we are gonna use for these. So I'm gonna click on the word by category, and it comes up, there's a little dot, a box with 3 dots. You click on that. And what does it bring up? It brings up your whole material browser, okay? And we're just gonna click at the bottom and create new material. And instead of default new material, we're gonna rename that to be room-office, okay? And room-office, I'm gonna give it a color right here. I'm just gonna say, okay, you're kind of reddish for room office, okay? Now I'm going to right click and duplicate material and assets. And I am going to change the name of that one to conference room. These are materials that we're going to apply to those objects. So conference room, and I'm going to change its color. Conference rooms get to be a little bit more red, even darker than the office. Okay. And now I'm just going to right click, duplicate material and assets. This one, corridor, okay? And its color is going to be like a tan. Okay, I'm just going to office, duplicate. In the office, I need a stair, okay? Stair. And stair is, what if never mind. Stair, I like stairs to be this brownish color, okay? And I'm gonna do one more, mechanical, electrical. Look at this, edit, duplicate, mechanical, whatever. And I'm gonna give it a color. How about it's blue? Okay, that's enough for now, okay? So now what I do is I match them up. In this drop down, conference room needs to be set to be, you guessed it, conference room, okay? And then when I switch to corridor, that room type color needs to be set to corridor. Okay. And then when I say electrical, this one needs to be set to, I don't have one. So duplicate really fast. You can do it on the fly. Electrical. Okay. And I can even leave it the same color if I want to as my mechanical, whatever. Electrical. I'm going to say, okay, so electrical is electrical. Mechanical, set that to mechanical. And wait for it, office, set that one to office. We're almost done. We're almost done. Stair, set that one to, did I make one stair? Stair. Okay, stair. So what I've done is I've paired up what the colors are. So here, look at this. Okay, this is a conference room. I just drag one of these objects over, and I'm going to toss it in. No, not save right now. Drop it in my conference room, okay? And then I'm going to take the corridor, and I'm going to drop it in the corridor. Wait, you guys see electrical? I'm going to say, okay, maybe that's an electrical room. And mechanical room, that's mechanical room. And office, there's an office, and that's an office right there. And a stair is going right there. And I can pull these around. So I'm starting to get an idea of where things are. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Now watch what I'm doing. Wait for it. When I highlight this thing, oh, forgot to do something. I'm going to edit the family. And in my top-down view, I forgot to give these parameters, the ability to stretch. So this is 4 foot, and that's 4 foot. If I click on this one, I'm going to give it the parameter, create a parameter button. I'm going to call this one width. Width. Instance parameters, so that all the mechanical rooms could be a different size, or electrical rooms, whatever. Okay. Width, instance. Okay. And look, it gets the parameter label associated with it. And I'll click on this one and create a parameter and just call it length. Instance parameter also. Okay. And so the last thing I want to do is click on the object and see how it says extrusion height is 8 feet. I want to give that the ability to change the height. So I click on that little tiny dot at the far right, click on it, okay? And it says I want this to be height. So I'm going to create a new parameter called height, H-E-I-G-H-T, height. And I'm going to leave height as a type parameter. Why? You'll see in a sec. Say okay, and okay. And now this is ready to load into my project. Load in the project and close. Okay. Do you want to save it? No, not right now. I'm busy. Okay, overwrite the existing one. Now, look, friends, I want to show you something. Because we gave parameter to this thing, when I click it, it gets shape handles, okay? And I can just drag it quickly to reach the sides of my walls, quickly in that room. So that one's done. And this one, wait for it, this one's done. Yeah, well, let me just drag them all. This is going to take a minute to do this, but it's worth it, guys. It's so worth it. Wait for it. And I can go back and edit the colors anytime I want to. I can go back and edit and add new types if I want them. Like I'm going to need one called elevator here in a minute, and I'm going to need another one called men and women's bathrooms, toilets. So we're getting a really cool diagram out of this. I'm just showing you. So I'm just pulling these over, and I'm gonna waste your time a little bit longer. You get to watch. You get to watch this, and you're gonna go, what? Why did he make us watch the whole thing? It's driving me bananas. I can't stand it. Somebody relieve me from this pain of watching him do this over and over and over. Okay, and then you come to the corridor and you're like, what am I going to do about a corridor? Well, it just so happens that the corridor, here's the fun part of a corridor. These things, I can copy them. If I pull this down and hit right there and up and over, I'm like, dang, I need another corridor. I can either come over here, where are they? Room objects. I can grab another little corridor one and toss it there and toss another one down here. But watch how great this is. They snap to each other and they snap to walls. But there's a line between them, Mike. Well, join geometry. You just join the two and the line goes away. So it fixes around the corner. Like right now, I've got this corridor, and let me just come here. Let me finish this, guys. Okay. Oh, there's a line between them, Mike. Join geometry. You just join them and bam. Okay. So we don't have one in that back corner. What is that? Break room. I don't have a break room. Okay. Duplicate. Break room. Okay. Break room. And so I drag a break room over and I put it here, but you're like, hey, that's the wrong color, Mike. So I double click on break room and I look and I say, you're right. The room color is set up for the stair. It needs to be break room. So when I click the dots and I look, I don't have one for break room. Right click, edit material. Look how fast this is, friends. Break room. and I'm going to set break room as a greenish color. Okay. And okay. So now, oh, it's already green before I even got back. So I can highlight it and wait for it. And you're like, okay, that's starting to look really nice, Mike, but what's it look like in 3D? And I go to 3D, and these things are like this. They're filling in the boxes. And I thought, well, your other diagram didn't do that, Mike. Well, this is kind of weird. What I can do in this 3D view is come down here, and I turned on my properties, okay, for my modeling properties, and I'm just going to turn off walls. I'm going to uncheck walls, show you guys what that looks like. Wait for it. You have to check the box right there next to model categories are affected by this view template. Okay, boom. So is that cool or what? Is that a cool diagram? Now I can click on one of these corridors. Okay, it's a corridor object. And if I go to edit the type, it says it's 8 feet tall. I could set it to be like 7 feet tall. And all of the corridor objects shorten down. So I can make the different objects different heights. Like I could make look at this, break room. I can make the break room to be 10 foot tall, okay? And all break rooms are going to go to 10 foot tall. And all corridors are going to go down to 6 feet tall, whatever. So you can adjust this thing to look exactly how you want now that you've got control of it. Now you're like, tags, Mike, we need tags on these because I don't know what they are. So I'm going to go back to plan. I'm going to say, okay, these are generic objects. So we need a generic object tag. And if I type TG on the keyboard to tag one of these and click it, it's going to say, dude, you don't have a tag. I'm like, okay. And so I'm going to load one. And I'm just going to load the one that came right here. La, la, la. Generic object tag. Well, look at that. Generic model element tag. Open. So when I tag this thing, look what it does. It tags it with a little square. I'm like, oh, man. I knew I would have to edit this thing. So when I highlight it, it says it's going to be boxed. Well, I don't want to be boxed. I want it to be standard. But it's still throwing a question mark at me. I'm like, why don't I have it automatically put the name of whatever the type name is? Let's see what the parameter is set for this family. So when I click it and I hit edit family, wait for it. I am going to move my face out of the way. Okay, look at this. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to say edit label. And it said it's bringing the type mark. Well, I don't want that. I want the type name. So I push the type name over and I get rid of the type mark. Okay. And that looks good, except it's stacked up. I can get it looking like that. Okay. And I can make that tag any size I want. 330 seconds. You can make it whatever, an 1/8 inch tall if you want to. You can set that type. But wait, here we go. Load into project. Okay. Wait, no, I don't want to save it. Because just load it into the project without saving. Thank you. And now take a look. That thing is going to tag, automatically tag. Let me get you an 1/8 inch plan so that this looks better. Typical floor plan, 1/8 inch. I just want it to look better for you guys. Okay, so now if I go to tag these rooms, look, conference room, electrical, office, corridor. There's a corridor right going on there. Mechanical, there's a stair, office, office, office. I'm telling you, you tag this thing and it's tagging those room objects. But they're like, how do I do it in 3D, Mike? Because you can't tag in 3D. Because if I type TG, it says, sorry. But if you read the error, you find the solution. The orientation of this 3D view must be locked before you can tag stuff. I'm like, what? It's that simple? So You get this thing oriented exactly how you like it, okay? And then you can say, wait for it, down at the bottom, there's a little picture of a house with a little lock next to it, and the lock is open. But if I click it, it suggests save the orientation and lock the view. So I can click on that. I can even give it a name, block diagram. And I'll say, okay. And now the view is locked. I can't orbit it. I can pan around, but I can't orbit it. It's locked. I would have to click that button again to unlock it. But because it's locked, I can tag these objects. TG on the keyboard. Now look, wait for it. Office, break room, mechanical, stair, office, 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 conference room, electrical, even corridor. Now it's tagging at the center of the object, and so you might have to scoot them up. And I guess I can just grab them all, filter for them, generic model tags, and I can just use it, scooch them all up at once so that they're actually on the object. Are you kidding me? This is fantastic. I can even click on one and add a leader. If the text is too big, I can put the object, look at this, free end pointing down there, says it's an office. It's pointing at the object. You can even give it an arrowhead if you want. I'll do it really fast for you. Edit type, arrowhead set to none. I like filled dots. Bam, 16th inch filled dot. Whoop, there we go. So you can build these diagrams. I just took you from zero all the way to finished diagrams. So you guys should be able to do it too. It is a wonderful way to get a great graphic. And if things move in your plan, like if you decide to change things, like maybe this wall moves. Okay, look, let me just show you. If this wall moves, it pulls away from the object. You're like, oh no, no big deal. When you change the shape of the object, it slides the tag automatically, and in your block diagram, it's fixed there also. Automatically, it fixes in 3D. So you've got a lot to work with here, people. And so I hope that, I know this was a long video, but I hope that shows you how to make these block diagrams and make a really successful presentation for your plans, either for your team or for the client. All right. Well, that's all for now. I hope that helped somebody. I hope you saw something new that you didn't know before. Get out there and try it. And until we meet again, happy Reviting. All right.